Hello, hi there. Welcome to Belfast City, home of the Titanic. Yes, it is right here that the great ship was built many, many years ago. So it stands to reason there are many places around this city that hold a link to the Titanic. And today I'm very, very excited because I get to explore one of them for the first, well, not for the first time since the building has been renovated and opened to the public. This building just behind me here is the old Harland and Wolff headquarters, the company that built the Titanic. And today, after being abandoned for many, many years, it now stands as a luxury hotel slash kind of like Titanic museum. I've booked myself a night, I've checked in, and I'm going to take a look around. Fancy coming with me? I'm so excited about this.
The building was constructed between 1886 and 1917, and upon its completion was the beating heart of the largest shipyard in the world. Many of the world's most famous vessels were designed in this very building and built by Harland and Wolff on the surrounding slipways. The building was vacated in 1989 and it remained unoccupied for nearly 30 years, falling into a state of disrepair. However, in the early 2000s, interest in the Titanic had skyrocketed. And people like me, I can only apologise. But anyway, we began to wander around the now restricted shipyard, peering through windows just to get a look inside. Fast forward to the present day and the building has undergone a full restoration and today sits slap bang right in the middle of the Titanic Quarter as a 4-star luxury hotel. So let's take a look around. Our first stop on this tour is here. This is the old telephone exchange, the communications hub within the old shipyard. It is here in this very room that Harland and Wolff received the news confirming Titanic's loss. From here, it filtered out down into the shipyard and out into the wider area of Belfast. The room retains much of its original features, including this little wooden hatch. You can just imagine the likes of maybe Thomas Andrews collecting his mail from this tiny little hatchway.
As you walk through these halls, you're not just entering a hotel. You're entering a piece of Belfast maritime history.
The hotel has a nice modern entrance facing the slipways, but this wasn't the original entrance to the building. To see that, you have to go round to the rear.
Okay, wow, this is just something else.
These large wooden doors here are original. This was the main entrance to the building, and many of the key figures within Titanic's story, Thomas Andrews, J. Bruce Ismay, even Captain Smith, would have entered the building via this doorway. Thomas Andrews is a very well-known figure within the history pages that make up Titanic's story. He was the chief draftsman here at Harland and Wolff, and today he is credited with designing the Olympic class liners, and I am now standing in his original office. Finished around 1907, it has many of its original features, including the flooring, the fireplace and the Victorian windows. It's quite something imagining him sitting here working on Titanic because, as many people know, he sailed on Titanic's maiden voyage and ultimately lost his life in the disaster and his body was never recovered. It's quite an eerie thought to think that he was working on something that would ultimately end up claiming his own life. Thomas Andrews is considered one of the heroes of Titanic, aiding many that night, showing little to no concern for his own safety or survival, and honestly it was an honour and a privilege to sit in his office. We're going to head to my room now and I'm going to give you a quick room tour. After all, we are in a hotel, but as I go I just wanted to show you this. This is the main staircase within the building, again most of it original and restored to its former glory. The walls are lined with many images from the glory days of Harland and Wolff, as well as some Titanic related photographs.
At Titanic Hotel Belfast, we're not just offering a stay. We're offering you a trip that you'll never forget.
Okay, so on to the room. I stayed in an executive room, not out of choice I might add, because they are slightly more expensive than a standard room, but they were sold out, so I was forced to fork out a bit more, which turned out to be a happy accident. When I walked in I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It was huge. There was a plate of fresh fruit, which I loved, and this welcome sign in chocolate, which I wasn't sure if I was supposed to eat or not, but believe me, I scraped every inch of that sugary goodness off that plate. I mean, I'm not going to let it go to waste, right? The bed was huge and comfy, I pretty much got lost in it, but the little details in this room were also really cool. The rivets on the door, the tiles on the bathroom floor matching those used on Titanic, and my name on the TV. I even got a little welcome bag with a few goodies inside, including a notebook, a map of the hotel, and a book about the history of the building.
Where history and hospitality come together to create an experience like no other.
The best part though for me was the view. Overlooking Titanic's slipway and Titanic Belfast, it was just the perfect room for me. I must admit though, I'm not used to any form of luxury service, and when I came back to my room that evening there was just this guy standing there like, "Hello, I'm here to do your turn down service." He'd closed the curtains and drawn the sheets back and even put a little chocolate on my pillow. I was like, okay, thank you, we setting the mood here for something? Am I in the wrong room? Anyway, let's get back to the hotel tour because there is plenty more to see. One of the key rooms in the entire building is the boardroom. This is the original boardroom of 1912 and was also the office of Lord William Pirrie. He was the chairman here of Harland and Wolff from 1895. This room was built around 1907.
What makes this room so significant is that it is here where the decision was made regarding Titanic's lifeboat numbers. It's eerie to think that the fate of some 1,500 people was sealed in this very room.
As we approach the end of this tour, I've left some of the best bits until last, and my absolute favourite room of the entire building. Many Titanic buffs were probably expecting me to be showing you the drawing rooms. That's coming up in just a bit. But no, by far my favourite room is the presentation room. It is here where many shipping owners would have come to see the finer details of the ship they had ordered from Harland and Wolff. Yes, the ships would have been drawn up in the drawing rooms just below, but it is here where they would have viewed various scale models and drawings of what the ship would eventually look like.
You can just imagine the likes of Lord Pirrie or J. Bruce Ismay standing here with a cigar in hand, maybe a stiff drink in the other, admiring the designs of the ships this yard had created that would be constructed on the slipways mere metres from here. It is also here, in this very room, that Ismay named the ships. Beforehand, she was simply known as yard number 401, but in this very room, he declared she would be called Titanic. One of my favourite things about this room are these windows here looking over the drawing offices. You can just imagine the top brass of the shipyard here peering down on their workers, keeping an eye on them. Just imagine them going, "Oh, Bob's not putting his weight down here, have him up here, let's have a word, sort him out." We are now standing in probably one of the most well-known rooms within this building, and this is what people really come here to see. This very room is where Titanic came to life on paper.
Here, workers spent countless hours drawing up the plans for Titanic, deck by deck. It's in this room that Titanic and many other ships inked down from the minds of their designers onto paper and into reality. So that pretty much concludes the tour here of Titanic Hotel Belfast, and what a nice way to finish with a cocktail or a cup of tea at the bar of Drawing Room 2, adjacent to the one we were just in, which is used as a function room. The bar itself here is also of particular interest. Take note of the unique tiles that surround it. These are original tiles from the Olympic class ships. When the final ship of the fleet, Britannic, was launched, she was called up for war service as a hospital vessel, and long story short, she never came home. So all of her fixtures and fittings were either sold or put into storage. These tiles were kept for over 100 years and installed here at the bar as a further little nod to the Olympic class ships. The tiles were intended for Britannic's swimming pool area and were identical and from the same batch used on Olympic and Titanic. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of the old Harland and Wolff headquarters here in Belfast. If you're into Titanic at all, or even if you're just looking for a decent place to stay whilst you're here, I would definitely recommend this hotel. There is one major problem though. This place is so good it's set a new benchmark for me, and now every time I visit Belfast, which is often, I'm going to have to stay here. It's going to cost me an absolute fortune, but what can you do? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe for other Titanic related content from my channel. Have a great day.